The top 5 most haunted houses in the world. There is no more frightening scenario than those terrifying haunted houses. When the place that should be the safest of all becomes the scene of your worst nightmare where you can run to. It is hard to imagine that your home can become a haunted house, but the owners of these terrifying houses to follow also did not even imagine what they were going to live in. In 5th place, Shanley Hotel. Imagine that you arrive at a hotel ready to enjoy a relaxing vacation and are asked to sign a disclaimer before taking your room keys. If you want to stay at the Shanley Hotel in New York, this is what will happen next. Fact: this hotel is so haunted that no guest under the age of 16 can enter the place, known to be the scene of several deaths. There is a strong belief that this old house is cursed. Sightings of ghosts, including the mourning spirit of Beatrice, the former owner of the place, whose 3 children all died at home before their first birthday. Here is a story of a sighting that was recorded. Sonicozia, the current owner, commented how after moving his cat that he was 14 years old, he refused to enter certain, and the cat then started doing strange things like refusing to leave certain and never leave the house, just spend most of the time away from home before moving. Then one night they recorded this supposed ghost on the camera. If it's still not enough for you, know that this hotel is so haunted that it inspired one of the scariest stories of all time. Stephen King was staying at this hotel when he wrote The Enlightened one. This is not exactly the kind of inspiration you would expect from a rest holiday. In 4th place, the Corpse Dollhouse. Dollhouse, a house full of life-size dolls. Well, this is much worse, and these dolls are made of corpses. Really, this is what some researchers found when entering the house of Anatoly Moskvin, which was as far as an academic was known and Russian linguist, but after deepening they discovered that he was hiding many dark secrets. Anatoly Moskvin, who was a paranoid schizophrenic, had dug up the bodies of 26 girls, all between the ages of 13 and 15. After mummifying their bodies, he dressing the corpses in girls' clothes, applying makeup to their faces and putting them around his house. He claimed to have felt great sympathy for the dead children and thought he could bring her back to life by science or black magic. Unbelievably, Anatoly Moskvin lives with her parents, who claimed to have no idea that the dolls were actually corpses. They should probably consider testing their eyesight and olfaction, who knows. In the end, Anatoly Moskvin pleaded guilty to his series of crimes, facing a charge of up to 5 years in prison. He was then transferred to a psychiatric clinic, and the extension of his stay was approved. In 3rd place, Villa di Vecchi. Known as the most famous haunted house in Italy, this abandoned mansion in the mountains was built in 1854 by Count Felipe di Vecchi, head of the Italian National Guard. One fine evening the Count returned home and discovered that his wife had been murdered and that his daughter was missing, never to be found again. With all these tragic events, a year later the Count took his own life inside the mansion. From then on, residents report ghostly events and even say that the piano plays alone almost every night. The high levels of paranormal activity attracted the occultist Aleister Crowley, who often visited the place to hold satanic spiritualist sessions. We can say with certainty that if you are somewhere in that Crowley liked to go, probably this place is not very friendly. In 2nd place, the House of the Snakes. After buying the dream home for $180,000, a couple thought they had done the business of the century, until they moved to their new property in Idaho. It wasn't long before they found out they weren't the only residents who were in house. In fact, the 5-bedroom house was already full of snakes. It turned out that the dream house was already the hideout for hundreds of snakes, and these snakes didn't want to slide out of the walls and occupy the whole house. It turns out that the house was probably built in a snake hibernacle where reptiles gather in large numbers to hibernate. Even the water supply was affected by the snakes because it had a strong smell that the snakes released as a warning to predators. Ultimately, the new residents gave up on this nightmare and moved away, leaving the house free for these unlovable reptiles. In the first place, Shanley House. One of the most infamous haunted houses in the United States. This house is known for being haunted by a demonic spirit called Bear. He lived in this house and died very young after a surgery done inside the house and that ended up going wrong. Shanley is believed to have been the first ghost that haunted the house that has now become home to many lost and rebellious spirits. In December 1992, Tony and Deborah Pickman moved there. Their stories are chilling. The lights went on and off randomly. The dog barked in front of the crib and the baby woke up all the time as if someone was playing with him. The neighbors, they could see the bedroom window and even asked why they left the light on all night with the baby sleeping inside. Of course they had no idea that Deborah always turned off the lights. Tony one night saw a girl in his kitchen and drew on a sheet of paper and showed what he had seen to a son of a former owner of the house, who he identified as his imaginary friend when she was younger. She was called Sally. This is just one of the stories. The details of the residents report having experienced paranormal events, apparitions, objects flying through the air, sounds of scratches coming from the walls and even toys scattered around the house, with a child saying he was playing with his friend Sally, a room death, and it was really quite tragic. And would you dare to live or spend a night in one of these houses? So leave your thumbs up on this video and subscribe to this channel. Thanks. And until the next video.